It's interesting though. I mean,
But yeah, I hate to like say it, but like I know it's like a very far away picture, but it has like I guess you would say the typical, if there is a typical shape to them,
yeah.
kind of gives you that whole thing.
Not only
But
that, but
we
why?
don't have no real reference on his like size. We don't have nothing to give like a size reference to, so we don't know if this is actually truly. But man,
Yeah,
being that far away with that I would think if he was a if it was a normal sized man, that picture, the way that it looks like it's originally taken. Here, I'll send you another one to see it, like kind of go off of what you like what you would think.
what was that place called where that was taken at?
It's called Silver Star Mountain.
Silver Star Mountain. All right, let's see what other people look like who climb it.
Here's the it looks like the original photo, how far away they were.
Okay. Huh.
I'm just saying, like I would think that the person would have been a little bit smaller than that, don't you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you. I got a couple pictures to send you for reference. Uh, wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay. Okay, here's your one. Now I zoomed all the way in on the picture, and on Google Images, I typed in Silver Star Mountain climber,
Mm-hmm.
just looking at pictures of folks, and well, here you go. Let me grab this picture real quick, and I'll paste this. I'm just saying, look at the stature,
Mm-hmm.
and then look at the stature of our buddy on top of the mountain there.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
interesting. Not sure what to make of that, but that is a good one.
yeah.
Almost looks like a Bigfoot when you zoom in like this.
Yep.
Okay. So I mean, so far, what do you think? How many sightings do we got next to a main water source? What I'm getting at is that I think that they use those water sources not obviously to drink out of, but I think that's like their highways. It's how they travel. It's how they know which way to go to get where. You know, they go plodding along. You know, and he every now and again, if he can't hear the water, he knows he's straying. If he can hear it, he knows he's on course.
So, like, are you like, cause us like going through this, like, you're kind of believing that this, like, you're like kind of leaning more towards these creatures are actually like have like some kind of like I guess like they're intelligent. I guess I'm trying to get at. I feel like I prolonged that a little bit too much.
I
You don't think it's just random that they're going around and they're just stumbling around in the dark in a way, but they're actually using these as a highway, as a road map to get around, to just navigate. Because I feel it, in that case, they are using those not just as long as just a highway, but they know for a fact not that many people are normally at these lakes, too.
not to
They,
mention that okay, for one thing, there's a great majority of people who believe that they are nocturnal.
that's true,
So
yeah.
if he's nocturnal and he's using, he can travel by night, stay out of sight, listen for the river if he's too far away from it, and maybe he can just see it. I don't know, but
That's true.
or smell it. His sense of smell, and these rivers do have distinct smells when you get close to them.
Well, then why do you think the Patterson Gimlin film, like, that was on almost broad daylight? What would your thoughts be on that? That Why would she be out in the middle of the day? Do you think she was trying to sleep or something and they spooked him?
You know
Because I
what's weird about that whole video to
Mhm.
me, and I mean weird in a not in a really in a bad way,
Yeah.
but whenever I think about that video or even watch it, it the common I know it's a pretty common assumption, like, well, they were out there, they probably disturbed her, and she started moving on, And then I started thinking about it. I'm like, it doesn't look to me as if she's bothered by them in any way. And if I can bring it up here, I'll Patterson Gimlin film. When I watched this, okay, here's a 4K stabilized, but it looks like it's a. Okay, check this out. I'm gonna go ahead and mute this. I don't know this YouTube channel, but I'll definitely throw him some props. Okay, so when I watched this film, the thing that gets me is how cavalier she is, how nonchalant. She's just walking through her backyard, right? And she even turns to look at them, but she doesn't care about them. Like, she's not. She's not bothered that they're there in the least. She's
Yeah.
not even in a hurry. I mean, she is literally taking her time. And if you watch that video, especially, especially like right now, I'm watching the 4K stabilized one. I think I told you about. I'll send you the link to it. She's walking in pretty much a I'm going where I need to go, and I don't care who's around. You know what I mean? I've got something important, something's pressing. So even when she turns and looks at them, it to me it almost seems like a is that who I was looking for? Oh no, it's not. And she keeps going. So my thought was mating season. I mean, any mammal, out there, like we have goats here.
Hmm.
Those goats are completely different personality when it's when the females are in heat or the male is in rut. They're not the same animal anymore. They lose their minds. Nothing matters except for mating at that point. So my thought was she's walking through. Maybe she's on the trail of a male. Maybe the male is I don't know.
Shit, she might have. There was probably a male somewhere around there, and they just didn't see it.
There's people out there that have said that. I've read that a couple times that people said
Wow.
there's other ones in the
That
film.
that actually brings like a lot of like kind of light to the whole like demeanor, because these countless like other like encounters, they just don't add up to what she did in that video. Like, everybody's encounter says that the they do the bluff charge. They like because you're
Yeah,
in their territory, or it could have been something else. You could have been next to young. That everybody says like next to like they're young or something of that sort.
right. Yeah,
So she was just not like very like you said, she was on a mission, and
yeah.
she did not care. Like, it seemed like she just didn't have like a care in the world, and she was going wherever she wanted to go.
hmm She
So
was
that actually,
acting like an animal in heat. Like she's busy. She's looking for something, and you ain't it. You know what I mean? And then in that stabilized video, if you go down and you slow it down even further, and watch the movements, they're not. I mean, they are not unnatural at all. The movements are fluid,
Okay.
and I've got it slowed down here to about zero point 0.5 playback speed, and you can see the muscles flex. You can see everything in a huge detail that may be vulgar for some people, but a huge detail for me is that, okay, if this is a suit, not only is it the best suit ever made, but there's an ass crack.
That's
There's an ass crack, and you can see the individual leg movement of each side of that ass crack. And I'm sorry if that offends people, but this detail is important.
yeah, I get you. Like, cause like, yeah, for our viewers, you've probably stared at a butt here in a time or two.
you've seen a
You've seen
you've
you've
seen a butt.
seen them in passing. Uh,
You've seen a butt. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
yeah. So you can tell, like you like see like what like one cheek goes above, like bam, bam.
Yeah,
So you kind of can see, like I get that. Like I understand, like there could have been somebody out there that could have made a suit that well, but like I guess you would say, yeah, the technology or the craft wasn't actually that up to par. Crap, we're still using puppets, like back then to make stuff, like to make videos.
yeah,
And then by the time we actually got into that age of suit, like those types of suits, crap, like there was like probably seven people off screen moving, like remote, like they had remote controls to them,
yeah.
moving every single movement on them. So how did these people, two guys from the hills, riding, like they're just a bunch of cowboys out west riding the trails, make this suit?
Right. I just pulled up 1967 Planet of the Apes, and if you look at the look at the costumes, and this was a movie studio. These guys had money. They had budgets. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't have to scrape together. You know, they didn't have to scrape together to make an ape suit. They literally had people making them. So you take a look at their designs, and it's, I mean, it's just nowhere near the detail that you're seeing in the Patty film. You know,
Well, I feel like we kind of got off. Sorry about that. We kind of got off the topic there. I was just kind of curious what your thought about it on there, because we're starting to see a pattern here, and I wanted to kind of go to that too, because everybody has some controversies about that video
sure,
of the pattern in it due to all the other stuff that's been going on with other sightings.
right?
So I feel like it's kind of linked in some ways. So I kind of wanted to throw that in there. But yeah, like water source, rivers.
Yep.
I feel like that is the one key factor that everybody, and like it just seems like I feel like that's the reason why, like like a lot of people saying that they don't see them on their trail cams.
Yeah, I think
Is
the trail
that
cams need to be near water sources.
they need to be near water sources. I feel like they would probably they might get a sighting if it was near a water
Yeah.
source.
Also, too, is something that dawned on me recently was, like, a lot of people, I've seen videos of eye shine where they're flashing a light in the woods, and they get the little brief eye shine, and a lot of them believe that eye shine is the Sasquatch, and you hear that more often than not. So something that dawned on me recently was that most animals that have an eye shine have a pretty decent degree of night vision. They can actually see a lot farther into the spectrums than we can. A trail cam emits an infrared light, and I'd almost imagine that, a very weary, instinctively stealthy animal like this might see an infrared as something I just need to steer clear of, and they might see it from quite a ways off.
Yeah, before the camera could
You know,
even catch anything.
yep. That's one working theory. I don't know, but
Yeah, I can see that. I just like the one thing is that it's so hard to believe that they know what it is.
yeah,
Like they're deliberately trying to keep themselves from being photographed. Like it's just like I just can't I cannot wrap
yeah,
my head around that or believe that they know it. If they do know it, these creatures are way smarter than we think that they are, and we're underestimating a lot of them. They're probably actually, if they're that smart, I believe that they're on Wall Street right now, and they're
yeah.
controlling our lives at this moment. Like they're not the lizard people; it's the Sasquatch.
The Sasquatches. I keep bringing up a video. I went a little bit. I kind of went off the beaten path here a little bit, but honestly, there's so many sightings in this area of the map that it's actually hard to keep track of them all, and some of them are recent. You know, some of them are recent.
Yeah, the most recent ones I've seen so far are been around these areas, like in Washington and California.
You know,
Uh, I feel like because it's the number one hotspot, and I think that you were the one that was telling me about it. Uh, some some type of biologist or primatologist says like these types of creatures would be in an area that mostly rainfall.
yeah,
So that would probably that's your number one area is the Northwest, like
yeah. Oh,
Northern California, Seattle.
now I know a lot of people believe that that's the main. Um, that's like the main habitat, and the rainfall thing. I honestly, I could see it. Like I could see that.
Could you believe that? Like just like the one that's down south, around like Florida area, that they call it the skunk ape. Do you think it's because of, like the humidity and like I guess the moisture that's in the air, like kind of like the
I'm not sure. I mean, I honestly, I really don't know. I mean, what about like the silverback gorilla, the habitat they live in? I wonder if it's like that. I wonder if it's something that some primates like.
Mhm.
You know, it's hard to say, but I've heard so many different things as far as their habitats and such, and it's just a reoccurring water theme is what I'm getting out of it. Just over and over again. There's a creek involved. There's a river involved. There's something involved that has to do with water. Guys on the
I
river fishing see one on the bank. It starts hurling giant logs at them and boulders, and stuff like that. It's
yeah.
always something to do with water.
So yeah, that's another thing too. Is that okay? I feel like we put a pattern with that. We got. I feel like we can check off in our pattern box for these creatures. Water. Water is a number one thing, and I feel like I'm not like trying to like diminish this,
Yeah.
but I feel like that would be it's a common factor. Like I'm not saying every animal would do that, but the whole navigation thing, that's that's crazy. Like I really do believe that that could be what it is. That's what it's there for. Like why they're that close.
Yeah.
So from here now, like what other patterns could we be looking for going further with this?
I think something else that we're going to have to start doing is trying to. It'll take longer, but we'd have to go into each individual sighting and start figuring out more details. Like in the one, the footprint aiming northeast. You know what I mean? Little
Yeah,
things like that. I mean, going forward, we're not going to know if it's a pattern until it's a pattern. You know,
yeah,
like if the creature was 7 foot tall instead of 8 feet tall, whatever. Now that's a difficult one because most all of these you're dealing with are going to all be somebody seeing something and being startled and then giving the best description they can or blatantly making it up. So you basically have to. I mean, you'd have to go through each detail, like the height of the creature, an estimate height of the creature, an estimate on which direction it might have been heading at the time. Is there a major river or creek nearby, something that it's going to use for navigation? And I figured that's another thing that I noticed too is that if there is a river nearby, you can literally follow that river to the next sighting. And
yeah,
what I've been doing is I've been following these little creeks, and when I hit an area, that pops up a name, I go on Google and I Google that name, and I just type in, you know, blank blank Bigfoot sighting, and I'll be damned if 9 out of 10 it shows me something, you know, like Mount Rainier National Park. Apparently, there's a story of a Bigfoot massacre where the government killed a bunch of them up there. I don't know if that's true, but it's interesting. Here's one. Here's Rift Lake. Let's type in Rift Lake and see if we find anything. Let's go back to our good friend Google. Rift Lake Bigfoot sighting.
where is this?
Um, Rift Lake. Okay, we got a morning sighting on Rift Lake.
This is
Uh,
in Washington.
uh, you know what? I think so. Yeah, I believe so. I just literally found it on the map and Rift Lake, Washington. There we go. Yeah, here we go. It is north of Mount Rainier. Here's what I got. 2002 fall September. The date was the 14th. Observed. It was Saturday around 11:15 a.m. while fishing on Rift Lake. I had my son and a friend of his in the boat with me. We had pulled up to a point and shut down to start fishing when I scanned the clear cut like I always do, looking for deer or elk. About 150 yards off the shore, I noticed something walking. My first thought was, it sure is awful warm to be bundled up like that. And then immediately thought your coat sleeves are really long, and then said to the boys, "Hey, look, Sasquatch." They both spotted it, and it was walking away from us at a 45-degree angle, looking back over its left shoulder. It went behind a big stump, and we didn't see it for several seconds. It came out from the other side and stood facing us, and just looked at us for probably 30 seconds. At this point, we all got serious because we could tell that it didn't appear to be human, and I know it was not a bear. It turned and started walking away from us, looking back every so often. It stopped just before going down a little ravine and stood and looking at us again. It went down the ravine and up the other side, then it disappeared into the timber. The boys were very excited and nervous by now. We discussed this amongst ourselves, and I guess we watched this thing close to 5 minutes. I am originally from Arkansas, just a farm boy who has hunted and fished all my life. I have heard people talk about these things for years and haven't given them much thought one way or another. What we saw was definitely not human. It was hairy from head to toe, and it was large. I don't know how tall. It walked with long strides, and its arms and hands swung in a long swing as it walked. At approximately 150 yards, coupled with the amount of time it was in sight, we had a pretty good look. We are going back to the lake this Saturday, and I'm going to get out and look around. This time I'm taking binoculars and a camcorder. I'm not one to get caught up in myths, but what we saw was not ordinary. It's pretty wild.
For sure.
Pretty wild. Now that's just a random lake, you know. And that was in 2002, so I'm going to go ahead and mark it. Now, again, for the viewers, I don't know exactly where on the lake he was, so I'm just putting kind of a...
When was that?
2002. That's Riff Lake. Now, I've got
You said that was the summer of
September.
September.
Yep. It was in the fall. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, for the YouTube version of this, I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here. I will be adding more to this and uploading more videos as we go. If you want to hear more of this episode, check out the podcast. It's KYX Files podcast. It is on Spotify and iTunes and all the myriad of podcast services out there. Or you can go to our website, www.kyxfiles.com. Give it a listen there. And if you've had an encounter of your own, send it to us. Email us at encounters@kyxfiles.com.